Okay. Yo, yo,
What's
yo.
up, guys? Welcome to the Axios Fux Podcast. So what episode are we on?
This is 34. 34.
34. Boom.
Not
Okay,
bad.
so you're gonna start this off, right?
Yeah. So I just came back. So I'm just gonna give a rundown. So the last like 2 months have been pretty hectic. Ran a little bit more than a half marathon in Utah. A couple weeks after that, I was in Greece for a few weeks as well, a couple weeks. Then this past weekend, I went to New York, just took a train over there. Spent the long weekend over there and kind of just got a little inspiration, I guess, or wanted to kind of see what the big city was like again, because I haven't been to a big city in a while.
And you're moving to Boston.
Yeah, I'm moving to Boston, so now I'm going to be moving down to Hyde Park, which I love that area. I hang out in Cambridge and those areas a good amount, but that's just not my style for my personality and my beliefs. So I found an area, Hyde Park, very
Even the restaurants are just
stinky.
subpar.
No, they're subpar, and you're paying ridiculous prices.
Yeah.
So we have two things that we can talk about. I'll go about mine,
Yep.
and what I kind of realized, and kind of see what you have to say about yours. But basically, it's like pick an environment. In my opinion, this could be wrong. Like some people may take this in the wrong way. Like maybe not, but pick an environment where you already have an advantage. And you've talked about this a little bit. So being in New York, I talked to so many people, like a lot of the waiters, people who worked at your typical stores, and a lot of them are going to school. And I'll ask them, what major are you going? What major are you going for? And they're like in their 30s. One guy said film, right? You're in New York City and you're going for film. And that's great. I love film. I'm a movie geek. But I think to myself, dude, you are like at such a disadvantage being in the city. There's so many people who are probably going for film. You have to be so extraordinary to be able to get ahead. So I felt usually like most people, everyone probably feels a certain way, but they feel special. They feel themselves as being a special person. If you asked everyone, I did this actually, asked a couple people in Boston before randomly, do you think you're special? They all say yes. They all say yes. So in a city like that, you literally cannot feel special. You cannot feel special. You can't have
so insignificant.
So insignificant. So many people, so many amazing things people are doing, which is great. It's great. It brings you up as a person. But when you're trying to compete for something and be like going into that environment as a small fish already, you're going into a small fish in a massive ocean. There's like, it's so hard to get above, let's just say sea level back on the sand. In Boston or in our areas, or even where you are, Christian, you can be a small fish. You can be a large fish in a fairly small ocean or a fairly small pond or sea. Not that it wouldn't be, it's not so challenging. It's challenging, but you can get ahead with hard work. Somewhere like New York, dude, I went there. I'm like, no way in hell. It's a great city, but there's no way I could feel confident that the actions of even being disciplined is going to get me ahead. I would have to come from some sort of advantage, and that may be like family's money, or I don't know, some crazy opportunity that's been given to me. So my idea is, if you're trying to start something, go to an area where you can be at least a small fish in a small pond at first, or be a medium-sized fish in a sea.
Yeah, I agree.
Get ahead. Because when it's something like New York, you go there, you talk to people, everyone's doing like one person. I went to Astoria, the Greek area. I asked the waiter, what does he do? He's studying medical, so he's in medical school or something, and he's serving my table, right? And he's he's been doing it. He's been in school for a while. So like, I don't know what type of debt. I don't know where he's living. It's probably really tight. And I just thought to myself, like, damn, like you gotta like, number one, before you do anything, is go to an area where you can flourish and prosper with at least the basic systems of being able to make money.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that whole concept of I think the concept of sacrificing now for a better future is extremely valid. But at the same time, there are certain things that you have to have aligned in your life so that you can operate at all. Like if you're living in a 200 square foot apartment, that's okay for a certain amount of time, maybe a year, 2 years. But like if you plan to do that for an 8-year term of being in school, how much are you really going to grow in that environment?
Yeah.
You know,
I just think like, damn, this guy's gonna be a neurosurgeon. He's gonna be working on brains. I'm just in the suburbs now, moving into the city, selling real estate, and I'm coming there and I'm dropping hundreds of dollars and buying
Yeah.
hookah, buying this, buying that, and having no problem spending this money. Where it's like this dude's gonna have a degree that surpasses me just with a piece of paper eventually, but like I'm living probably how he'd want to live in the present time because I'm coming from an area where it's still very very competitive. Like don't get me wrong, it's still very competitive, but compared to a place like New York City or San Francisco, it's not anywhere close. You can
Yeah.
have an advantage without doing too much.
Yeah. One thing that I would say, when I moved to Tampa, I didn't realize the level of competition that there was there.
Yeah.
Um, and Miami, I think, is just amplified as well, because Miami is becoming, I mean, it's already is one of those cities that it's like New York, it's like San Francisco,
Untouchable.
it's like LA. So it's definitely kind of one of those same things.
Yeah, I agree. So I just think that's one of the biggest things I learned this weekend, where it's just like you can be making a decent amount of money or living a certain lifestyle, but it's so insignificant to those people that own those skyscrapers.
Oh, big time.
So find a market where you can kind of break in, like an event. If you're a big fish in a small pond, okay, fine. That's when you move, you make that next step. But
Mhm.
don't go into an environment where you're the smallest fish in the largest ocean. Like you're
Yeah.
at such a disadvantage. It's just setting up, I don't want to say for failure, but kind of. You can make it work, but why make it harder than it actually has to be?
Yeah, it's almost like when somebody who, is not making much money goes to live in New York. It's like, why aren't you, there's opportunity everywhere, right? Why aren't you in the Midwest? Build yourself up and
Get
then
some confidence first,
expand from there. Yeah.
you know?
And some people live like that their whole entire life.
Yeah. You can go with
So,
your second thing because I liked what you had to say.
yeah. So, I have been watching Wes Watson, and I think he's awesome. He's on Instagram, and he said something that really resonated with me. And he said,
Can I look up this way, West Watson?
it's WES and then Watson,
Watson.
WATSON. And he said something that resonated with me, that was similar to what I'm about to say, which is, um, whenever the biggest frustration you'll ever feel in your life is caused by your higher self and your mind conflicting. So your higher self knows what you're capable of, knows what your potential is, but then your mind is telling you to be safe, to not take risks. And you're hearing other people tell you, be safe, don't take risks, don't over strain
Extend
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, all these things. And it's just supporting our mind that is saying the same thing, but going against our higher self, which is telling us your actions need to be in alignment with who you want to be. So that really hit me, because I've felt frustrated a lot, and in my life, and even going back to when I was 16, 17, 18, when I felt like I didn't have any control over my income, and I was so frustrated. But there'll be symptoms in other ways. You'll get angry, you will get sad, you will have these outbreaks, and it's just
You go on
because
a bender, dude. You know how many like bad benders? Like I don't even mean just like a like let's say for example they use this bender in a drinking term, but like other than that, like a bender of like a bad attitude,
Mhm.
months, 6 months. I went through like up until recently, I think maybe February, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, probably up until August. I probably had like a 5 month bender of like bad attitude.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You had this person, this character that you wanted to become your entire life as soon as you were born. And maybe not as soon as you were born, but it
But you actually,
developed,
it's
you know,
there. I think
it's there.
it's prenatal, I think.
And it develops, and over time, you're being faced with having to live with the fact that you aren't anything like who you wanted to be, that character that you wanted to be. And that frustration, I think it causes a lot of internal conflict, and the internal conflict causes outbreaks. It causes you to be angry. It causes you to resort to vices to suppress that.
Yeah.
Because not only is our own mind working against us, but other people are telling us, because it's so completely normalized to do the average, if not less, work, or don't push yourself. I mean, think about everyone who's in a minimum wage job. Pretty much worldwide, the census of it when you're at work is, let's do the minimal work to get paid our
Age.
our wage. And so it's this collective idea that of not to strain yourself, but then it's internal, it's conflicting with who we wanted to be when we grew up. And I think that causes a lot of frustration. And yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, it's just like you have to stack small wins, but the thing is, if you haven't had a big win and you consistently have these small wins, it like devalues the actual value of a small win. Like, dude, like I'll get an offer accepted, I'll have a closing and I'll get a commission check, and I'm like so unimpressed.
Yeah.
So unimpressed. And that's what I'm thinking, like, because think about it, if you're making, like, let's say you're making, I don't know, let's say $15,000 commission checks. Everyone, you would think by law you should be really happy. But if you've gotten them enough, you start asking, your life hasn't changed much since you started getting those, like, consistently. You start asking yourself, is it really worth it? Imagine asking yourself, is it really worth it to turn $15,000 a month?
But I think and I think you're right. And I think the problem is people, like other people who maybe they'll maybe try to diminish you feeling like this is unimpressive, when in reality my potential is so great that it's only natural for you to feel that way. And
Yeah.
one thing I realized while I was at the gym is internal dialogue that went on, and it basically went like this: I should be in a better position than I'm at.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, I thought of a couple people who are at the position that I want, and I thought about how old they are to justify about how I'm in a good place. And all of a sudden I felt more calm.
Yeah.
So this is where people resort to the vices, because they don't want to feel the uncomfortable truth that maybe they aren't doing enough. And it's this conflicting thing
So
on a daily
dude. This is like a
basis.
sickening thing, dude. This is like the worst feeling. I hate that because it's like, oh, dude, how long are you gonna tell yourself you're doing okay
Yep.
and not having what you want? I mean, I've been told from, relationships, people I'm with, you talk about money too much. And I just think to myself, like, okay, money, yeah, maybe the love for money is the root of all evil, which is, probably true. But like, I know someone's talking about it a little bit more than me. And I want to talk about it. And those people who are talking about it so much are probably making a lot of money because their life revolves around expansion, and expansions, the commodity to get expansion is money.
Yeah. Yeah. In order to flourish in any, dynamic of your life, whether it's spiritual, physical,
It
financial,
costs money.
relationships, anything, it's going to cost money. So I think that trying to diminish that feeling that you're not where you are is wrong. But I will say this: what we do after that is what will really determine our character. What are we doing after we feel that way? Are we getting upset? Are we going to drink? Are we going to ask for advice so people make us feel better? Or the better thing, are we going to dial in our discipline?
Yeah.
Are we going to try something new?
Mhm.
Are we going to pivot? And
I just saw you made the Teachable. You made a course. I looked at your course earlier, and that's what I'm saying. Like when I made mine last year, it was like a out of just like a maybe I'm not doing enough type thing. I just picked something I wanted to do and just got it done. Um, Along with those, you have to acknowledge some sort of small wins, like maybe like abilities, like for example, I sent it in our the Axios Army the other day or the other morning. It was fourth. I think it was like I don't know when I sent it in, but I was getting on my train to New York and I had like 20, 25 minutes or 30 or 35 minutes to go get something to eat before. So I brought my suitcase down the street and I went to South Street Diner in Boston. And that's always been my place. I love that place. It's open 24 hours. It was 4:15 in the morning. And I started talking to this guy and I find out this guy's the owner, right? This guy's the owner. And we're talking back and forth. I'm thinking, wait, okay, how can I make this conversation worth it? So I start engaging in, his store, the diner, what he does outside of the diner, and that like he owns some other properties. And then I find out he's interested in properties. So immediately as this conversation goes on, he asks me what I do. I tell him what I do. And then it's the assumption. I assumed, I said, I'm on my phone. I'm like, oh, that's great. What's your number? And after I said, what's your number? He just relayed his number. And I'm not saying this guy's like the biggest guy in the world, but he's an example. I mean, if anyone's been to South Street Diner, it's in the financial district. This isn't like a cheap place to own. So this is someone you want to know. This is someone you want to know. So like learning a skill where you can do stuff like that, I felt more validated of what I or who I am or what I can do based off that one interaction than making a commission.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it doesn't have to always just be about money either. I think that whatever that character looks like or that you respect about what that character would do in a situation will make you feel better. And I think that we don't take the self-reflection to ask ourselves, I know I don't often, what does this character look like? What does he do? What does he represent? All these different questions are so self-reflective that and so painful, and we avoid them. Almost like what you're saying and how you kind of went out of what would be normal and you got this guy's number and it was in alignment with the maybe something that you would admire somebody else doing. And therefore it made you feel better.
And the thing is, at the end of the conversation, I knew it was a little strange to ask for it. And maybe I never do something with him, any business with him. But he did reach out after the fact, right when I got on the train. But the person I was with was like, I could tell they were in awe, kind of. It's not like I didn't do anything besides just go out of my way and do a little something strange and kind of put that person at the same level as what I'm at, like level with them, as if they're not doing better than me, they're not doing worse than me. I looked at them as person to person and be like, okay, how can I provide some sort of value? How can I get some sort of exchange in this conversation? How can I make this a worthy conversation, a worthy interaction? And I was getting his number, showing and validating, what I can do. Because if someone asks me, it's just like, I don't know if it would have been harder to ask a girl for a number or ask someone like him for a number. I personally think this would be more difficult. And just because of what our natural reaction to someone who's doing better than us, we're in awe, right? It's usually a little uncomfortable. So doing those small things I found have been the most impactful things in validating ways of showing your true attributes of who you want to be and who you really are, right?
Yeah. No, I think I feel the same way because whenever I see somebody else and this is almost like the hater, right? The
Yeah.
ultimate fan is the hater. And the reason being is because he sees you doing something he wants to do. He
Correct.
admires what you're doing, but he hates himself for not doing it. And
Yeah.
therefore, he has to lash out at you. Otherwise, there's an internal conflict.
Yeah.
Because why else? Like, he has to justify the reason that he's angry.
Yeah,
And
exactly
what
it.
the way he does that is by saying he's wrong because I can't be wrong. That's too honest with myself. And that's why honesty, I think, is like the cornerstone of growth. Once you're honest with yourself, that's when you can start to grow.
Yeah.
You know? And once you lose that, I think it's hard to get back. But going back to kind of what you said about you know, those like when I see somebody doing something that I think is cool, I want to emulate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to take that attribute and attach it to my character.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's why I think when we do things that we maybe have seen other people do and we admire it, and then we do it ourselves, it validates that we're building our character.
Yeah. I love that.
Cool.
Well, I mean, Christian, that's is perfect. I mean, I don't know is there anything else you want to say last minute?
Nope.
No.
No. If anyone, needs help with real estate, me and Vasily can help you out. Make sure to, if you listen to the podcast, post it on your story. We'll repost you. And that's about it, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
I think if you want to join the Axios Army, we have a group. We keep each other accountable. We are growing together. We do group calls. We have different teachers in the group that can help you in different fields. Like me and Vasily, we do real estate, obviously, Forex, other different topics. So if you guys are interested,
I think now, because what we honestly did is we completely restructured the group. Where now it is, I honestly feel really good about. I feel really good about the core. I feel really good about the core, and now it's like there's a standard that has to be met for anyone who wants to join. So I'm honestly, when we did that, first I was a little like, should we really do this? And then after the fact, now that I'm seeing the core group, I feel a little bit better.
And it will only continue to happen.
Yeah.
Like it's the standard in the group only gets better. And well, the results in the group will only get as good as the standard is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if the standard is low, there's going to be low results.
Yeah.
If the standard is high, we're going to have people absolutely crushing it. And every time that we've removed people, the results get better.
Yeah, people start getting
people are more active. People are asking questions. People are getting on calls.
I'm working out a deal. I'm working out a deal with one of these guys, not the Corey you brought in, the Corey I brought in. Potentially doing a deal with him, a real estate deal with him. So there's always something that can be done. Yeah, it's awesome.
Sweet.
Okay, Christian.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you later, Vasily.
I'll see you later. Thanks for coming on, Christian. I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye.